Welcome into the number one Group of Five football podcast in the world. We are the Group of Five guys. Our mission is to be the voice of Group of Five football programs and help create a sense of pride in the Group of Five communities. You can help us do that by hitting like, share, subscribe, give us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. You can also follow us on all the social media platforms at Group of Five Guys. And if you want to get some Group of Five Guys swag, you can go to groupoffiveguys.com to help support the mission. In this show, we're going to discuss what we saw last week at the Senior Bowl. We're going to talk winners and losers from the week. We're going to give our honest and transparent review of South Alabama and the entire city of Mobile. And we're going to talk a little bit of signing day and recruiting. Here comes the show.
I don't have any tooth. I'll admit it. I will brag. Those players did not just go and whip that ass for us to be like, oh, good game. No, we whipped your ass. We took $800,000. Now we're party with it.
Yeah, who cares if you're in the Power 5 conference if you don't win it, ever? Or you don't beat any of the teams in it? Like, what's the point of that? Wouldn't you rather win the conference and say, like, hey, my team is good, than lose the conference and say, well, our conference is good?
Look, they don't call me Tip for nothing. And my tip is, look out for the Group of Five this season. They've been taking it to the Power 5 year after year.
The only quarterbacks that ever get any love are from the Power 5. I can easily list off the top Group of 5 quarterbacks I would rather have than those guys. I would be willing to bet that at least one of them is going to be in the running for the Heisman this year.
Down the middle, James, the lateral to the corner of the end zone. Can you believe that?
Boys, UTSA, once again, number one Group of Five recruiting class of 2023. I got to go around and ask you, what are they doing differently than everybody else down there in San Antone? Start with you, Jeff Murphy. You've been there a couple times now.
Yeah, I don't know if it's something that they're doing differently than everybody else. I mean, winning for sure is always going to be your best recruiting tool. Had a great season last year. I know they came up a little bit short in the bowl game, but I mean, just putting on a good product year in and year out, having great seasons, having guys go to the NFL always helps for sure. And like you said, it's a great recruiting class so far. 21 committed signees from high schools this year, and the vast majority of them, Sprouse, guys, Texas. They are keeping these Texas guys that everyone usually goes in and poaches, take them everyone else. They're keeping them in the state. And then they got a couple big transfers coming in through the transfer portal. I know a guy, Incarnate Words, coming over. You got the running back, Rocco. I can't remember his last name, out of Vanderbilt. We'll see. I know they got a good returning running back coming back as well. But they're doing something right down there in San Antonio's fantastic churros down there as well, boys.
If I was a primetime Group of Five football player and you know how the trends are going to a school like UTSA, you win. Usually you have a coach that leaves. If I hear my coach who's recruiting me, Jeff Traylor, tell me that he's already making enough money, why would I leave? That's probably going to help you also pick up some more big-time recruits. So Jeff Traylor, I think he's one of the main reasons why they keep getting these awesome classes.
I agree with that right there. I think he's the key. I think him coming over from the high school ranks helped to start this recruiting trend at UTSA. The things he's saying, you know, all the other coaches, they say, I plan on being here next year. Yeah, I plan on being here next year. That's like for sure they're out of there. He said what Jesse just said. I mean, I'm making enough money, I can't even spend it. Why would I leave? He's got guys, as far as I know, he doesn't have anybody, at least big-time players, transferring out. He's got guys like Frank Harris that keep coming back, not going to the league when they certainly can. I mean, they're getting high school kids. They got a JUCO All-American coming in to add to that already deep receiving core. They must take them to damn Pinkertons and just seal the deal while their belly's full.
That'd be a huge selling point for me. I know that. And here's the other thing is he's battling week in and week out with, you know, not really with the media, but using them as a mouthpiece, being like, look, we need your guys' help. We got to keep these assistant coaches here first and foremost. Most importantly, you know, if we want players to stay here, stay in Texas, stay and play here and play here all 4 years or 5 years, however they're there, we got to get this NIL money up. So he's doing a great job as being a mouthpiece for his program to keep his guys there and do everything possible to continue to grow that program.
Yeah. And you know what else, too, as far as the recruiting? They play in a great environment.
Yep.
We always talk about that. I mean, I don't want to speak for every single home game, but when we went for the championship game, why would you not want to play in that on a Saturday? And
that's what I was about to say. I bet you they take all those recruits through the tailgating areas and then take them through the walk whenever the team's walking into the Alamo Dome. And then once you go into that Alamo Dome and watch the intro before the players run out and just that environment and entire atmosphere they have there, it's incredible. Like you said, why wouldn't you want to play there?
Yeah, that sounds good. And then you guys got to see the facilities in person. I mean, weight room, locker room,
top notch,
lounge area. I mean, they're right on par with everybody else in Texas, to include the Power 5 schools. But I will say this: you got some other schools making some headlines. Texas State is kind of going that same recipe, bringing the old high school coach in, and he's already started doing that, getting some transfers. They're calling it the Take Back Texas little pitch there. So they're starting to get some guys.
Yeah, and Sprouse, if I can add to that too real quick, he's bringing a bunch of guys from Incarnate Word with him, which is, I mean, you're talking about building continuity, changing the culture. You got guys that are coming in that know his culture, know his style, can help, the other guys that are there or that they're bringing in assimilate. So I mean, I don't know. I was wrong last year. I thought they had the recipe for it, but I mean, as far as so far on paper, it looks like they're doing a good job down there too.
With NIL, you would think that even if it is UTSA or Texas State, Texas Longhorns, they're all Texas boosters. They probably got some NIL deals and probably compete against players they probably wouldn't get without NIL. So it's probably benefiting those schools.
Yeah, that old Texas oil money coming into play there for sure.
Exactly.
Or landscaping money, our boy Sugar Shane.
Sugar Shane, baby. Turfco, if you're in the San Marcos area and you need a landscaper, Turfco. But yeah, and then I mean you got some other schools making some headway in the transfer portal. Charlotte's been super active with Biff Poggi down there. Recruiting, I mean it is a different game. Like you can't even really look at the high school class anymore because half the guys probably aren't going to be there, and or they're going to end up somewhere else. So
do y'all all have the sense that like Charlotte's just about to blow up? Like just that school is about to be probably the next, big group of 5 school that's about to be
Charlotte, and we were talking about this weekend, Georgia Southern, I think, is going to be the sleeper team.
Yeah.
Well, Georgia Southern has the history that Charlotte does not have, but both seem on the cusp. Charlotte, the deal with Charlotte for me is they're walking into the American Conference now with UTSA, with UAB, with Tulane. And so, but, I mean, you never know, man.
On paper, for sure, Poggi's doing a good job, and he's bringing – I read an article today, and I won't say all of them, a lot of these transfers that are coming in played for him already in his high school years when they did that documentary on HBO, and now he's basically getting all these guys to transfer from – he's pulling one from Michigan, he's pulling one, I believe, from Arkansas, all over the country that have already played for him, that know his style, again, that can help the other guys get on board quicker, know what to expect. And he's pulling a couple 4-star guys, a lot of 3-star guys. I don't know. It looks good on paper.
He signed a couple 4-stars.
Well, I think he had a 5-star that was signed with Bama out of high school and then transferred to Michigan, and now he's transferring to Charlotte.
Yeah, so, the skinny on that guy, I can't remember his name, some character issues, and that's why he's kind of was bouncing around. But, if he can go back to his former talent on the field. So he goes to his former head coach in high school, and maybe he can get him to figure that out, and now you got a 5-star balling.
A few 4 a.m. mat drills, that'll fix that character issue.
Yeah. You might just need a coach that can get him to buy in. I mean, we talked to somebody this weekend down in Mobile about that, had sort of some disagreements with a couple different coaches, and now his current coach, he's all in, and he's about to had a breakout year and probably going to get some NFL looks because of that. So, also speaking of Charlotte, shout out Will Healy, got a job on Gus Malzahn's staff down at UCF. Good for him. that guy's going to be. I mean, he's so young. I mean, he's going to be right back on his feet. He'll be right back as a coordinator probably in no time, or if even a head coach before that. So look out for him. It's too bad UCF's not in the Group of 5 anymore because rooting hard for Will Hilly, just not for the Knights.
Actually going to Orlando on Tuesday, Valentine's Day. So
There you go.
Are you going to Disney World?
I wish.
Hey, let's talk about Prize Picks. So we haven't talked about it in a little while. You got the Super Bowl coming up. Going to be some insane daily fantasy player prop bets going on in Prize Picks. Download the app. Use our code GOFG. Match you up to $100. It's all sports. It's not just football. So you got NBA going. I know we were attempting some NBA some NBA plays this weekend. You got, like I said, got the Super Bowl coming up, so there should be some good ones there. Atrocious award. UTSA has not been atrocious. Old Swag Bear, Swag Jag, as he refers to himself now.
That is true.
Lost a few pounds. What do you got for us?
I lost an extra 3 or 4 pounds this weekend fighting that stomach bug. I lost stuff inside me I didn't know I had. Let me just say this.
Hold on, Jeff. Can you cue this guy in?
I got
Cue
you.
me in. It's atrocious. It's atrocious. This is more just an atrocious thing on some facts of life. If you're listening to this show, more than likely you have a general idea about football. You're the guy at work that pretty much runs the break cooler at the break room, and you're able to talk about football, and you're usually the genius of it. Guys, today I was in one of the break rooms, and this guy he tries to talk football, and we all know these guys. The atrocious part of this is, let's have some couth and let the guys give their opinions on what they think they know about football. Hey, Jess, how you doing? Hey, doing good. Looking for the Super Bowl. Oh, yeah, me too, man. I tell you what, Philadelphia Eagles, they haven't won one probably since, 1990. I'm like, well, they won one about 2018. He goes, oh, that's right. Oh, Andy Reid won it with him. I said, what? No, Doug Peterson. He goes, Doug Peterson. He goes, I thought how long has Andy Reid been away from Philadelphia? I said, Andy Reid's been in Kansas City for about 10 years now. He goes, well, I know he's a defensive-minded coach, so he's probably going to have those Chiefs ready to go. And I was over here like, oh, okay. Got my water, walked away. Let's do that. We got to walk away sometimes. There's no reason for us to just bash these guys and think we're better than them, because we literally watch football all weekend. This guy's probably going to watch the halftime show and then eat some pizza and go to bed. And there's nothing wrong with that, Sprouts. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Let's keep our couth and let these guys think they know about football. Other thing atrocious, this is my real part atrocious. What are we doing with the Pro Bowl? I think that is the most embarrassing thing we're doing. Josh Jacobs is probably my favorite NFL player by saying that this shit is embarrassing. They're playing dodgeball, for God's sakes. Playing dodgeball and playing flag football. If I was an NFL player, I think you'd probably get hurt more playing the flag football the way they were gut checking each other out there. And my thing is, if I'm a Pro Bowl player, I think you give the guy a bonus, let the guy go, sign some autographs, and be done with it. Because obviously I'd be more worried about the guys twisting an ankle, tearing a knee, playing dodgeball, the way they're jumping around doing flips and trying to dodge balls. So I think the NFL is trying to keep these guys active, but I think it's atrocious for how the game has gone from meleeing kickers on punts 15 years ago with the hardest hits I've ever seen to now Josh Jacobs saying this is the most embarrassing shit he's ever seen. It's atrocious. It's atrocious. It's atrocious. I feel like that was Sean Taylor that knocked out.
Sean Taylor
okay,
knocked
yeah.
out yeah. And the worst part about that is Jalen Ramsey thinks it's okay. Tyreek Hill gets absolutely crushed.
Yeah.
I think that was on accident.
No. Okay, well.
A guy like Jalen Ramsey, that had to be on purpose.
That hit would have gotten anybody thrown out of a regular game in today's NFL. And he pulls that on Tyreek Hill. It never fails that it happens to the Dolphins. I mean, only the Dolphins would that happen to.
Your best players out there,
Yeah.
you get concussion playing flag football.
Gets depleted.
Because the other guy decides to lateral it to him at the last second.
Devontae Adams, you're welcome.
Dude, listen, I want your point about the water cooler guy. I feel like the only thing I'm going to disagree with, I feel like those guys watch football all day, every day, and just have no idea what's happening. Those are the guys that it's like 3rd and 60 from their own goal line, and they're like, why are we not throwing it deep when they punt or run a screen or something? Why are we not throwing it deep here? And it's like, well,
or Sprouse, I got one
have
better
some
for you.
situational awareness.
It's kind of like when you're watching a game and the guy behind you only knows one player on the field, and he just wants you to,
boy, oh boy.
why are we not handing it to this guy? Why are we not throwing it to this guy? I don't even see this guy in. Is he even suited up today? Well, he's clearly on the field.
Jesse, I got to tell you this, and I'm gonna leave schools and players out because there's a chance this is a future listener, maybe a fan. If you're watching, I deeply apologize. My condolences. We're out there watching the warm-ups, and these gentlemen come and they sit behind us there at the Hancock Whitney Stadium down there in Mobile. Beautiful stadium, by the way. And the player from their representative school, they're just not seeing him. And the way they are talking, they're acting like this guy is their best friend, maybe even a family member. They're telling all the fans in the section, well, yeah, the coaches told him he doesn't need to play today because he did enough. He did enough all week, so he's not suiting up. I look over to Jeff. I said, well, he's out there with his helmet on. So he's playing. And then they go the first drive, and they're like, yeah, he's not out there. He must not be playing. I'm like, Jeff, he's on the other team, by the way. His team is currently on defense. He plays running back. So, and then sure enough, he gets in, and now, there he is. There he is. And they're getting mad that they're not handing it to him every time in an all-star game. And it was just like, but the entire first half, I mean, everything was a controversy. Everything was play-by-play. But everything that they said was wrong. It was like, there's a flag, obvious hands to the face call. Everybody saw it. Yep, holding. Got a holding there on the left guard. No, hands to face on the defense. We saw it. And, I mean, it was just, dude, I couldn't take it anymore. I was losing my mind. We had to get up and move. It was so bad. But anyway, it's probably the same guy sitting at your water cooler.
No, it's the worst. But all you can do is, especially when you're having a conversation with them, is either be a jackass to them and just, and it's hard for me not to roll my eyes. I'm always rolling my eyes. These things get stuck sometimes. I mean, when he told me Andy Reid was a defensive-minded coach, I was, okay.
Yeah. That good Lord. Jeff, if you don't mind, I have another atrocious award.
Go for it.
If you don't mind. Cue me in, Jeff.
It's atrocious. It's atrocious.
Now, look, we here at the Group of Five guys, we don't claim to be any kind of journalists, any kind of reporters, any kind of professional media. We are trying to give the Group of Five players, coaches, and programs the voice that the professional journalists, media members don't give them. And I don't know what the rules are, if there's rules. Maybe it's like baseball where there's unwritten rules. But all I know is this. If I have a 10-minute window to interview as many players as I can, and these players have a 10-minute window to talk to as many so-called reporters as they can, I would limit my time with a player. Now, again, I'm not going to say any names or schools because this gentleman could be a fan, could be watching. But we go up and we dap up a guy that we consider, a friend or somebody we've met before. We had already planned. We already had been messaging, texting back and forth. Hey, we're going to link up with you after practice. We go up, dap him up, high five, say what's up. And then here comes a professional journalist and cuts right in front of me and starts holding an interview. And I'm like, we don't know what's going on. I'm a professional. I say, hey, no problem. Go ahead, man. It's all you. Thinking he's going to do it for 30 seconds. 6.5 minutes. I'm standing there twiddling my thumbs while this guy interviews the guy that I was going to interview and takes half the time. And then that prevents us from interviewing any other player because we're now waiting in line for the guy we want to talk to. So I don't know what the journalism etiquette is. I mean, it's probably standard with the rest of our national media in today's world. You just do whatever you can to get whatever story you can, whether it's true or not, whether it's just be first. But it's atrocious, the etiquette or lack thereof that I witnessed down there in Mobile, Alabama.
It's atrocious. It's atrocious.
And it was.
So did this jabroni just have was he by himself and he have his little recorder?
Yep.
I just.
It's a
I mean,
dog eat dog world out
I
in the
know
reporter
that y'all
world,
were
I guess.
professional. I know y'all were professional. Y'all probably all on waters and stuff that day. But if Swag Bear was there,
We were on waters that day, but we went.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, well,
Maybe after his third question, you should have been like, "Okay, hey, Matt Sprouse, a group of 5 guys." I mean,
you could have been. And
it's
I
a
don't
dog
know,
eat dog world in there.
It is, and I get it, but at the same time, you
Have a little couth.
what if we were an agent trying to talk to this guy and we couldn't get a chance to talk to him because the local reporter's trying to, but again, you don't want to be rude because I don't know, maybe that guy works for NFL Network or something, and then hey, go for it, take your time. But
well, we know
just a little bit.
We know next time, because next time we're throwing bows.
Oh, next time I'm walking down there with we're going down there with tripods.
You got to get a microphone that's like 10 foot long and just like have
with the boom. With the boom stick.
Have it hanging over. Just
put it in everybody else's interview.
While that guy cuts you, you just put your microphone right over his head.
We'll lose those credentials real quick.
That's fine.
Well, anyway, that was atrocious. Jeff, what do we got for voicemails this weekend? I don't think we have any from this week.
No, we didn't get any voicemails this week. But guys, we need you to call in. We need you to give us your best take. And I know it's the off season. There's not a ton of stuff going on, but there is a lot of action with the transfer portal. We just had signing day, so we would love to hear from you guys. We'd love to know what's going on, and we always play all the voicemails we got every single week that come in. So keep them calling. That number is 615-900-4286, if I'm not mistaken. Right, Sprouse?
That's accurate, my friend.
Got it. It's engraved in the memory bank there.
Good job. So no voicemails this week, but I'll tell you, we had a hell of a time down there in Mobile. Definitely a learning opportunity for us. I think if you are a podcast or you are a group that wants to go down there, highly recommend going down there early in the week, Monday or Tuesday. The practices are much more important and much more, in my opinion, entertaining than even the game. Similar to if you're a former player or you've been around a program, it's almost like spring ball, where the practices are what really matters, and then the game's kind of a little bit more of a fun reward for the fans. It's just to get you going. Now they played hard, don't get me wrong, but real basic offenses and defenses in the game. You didn't see a whole lot. But so we only got down there Thursday. We got both teams' practices on Thursday. And let me tell you, man, quick, fast-paced practices, both too different. That's what I noticed. Yeah. We talked about that there. I think it was the national team was in the morning, and that was more similar to probably what any of us have experienced, broken down into periods. Start out with a long pre-practice, by the way. They were out there about 45 minutes before they even started stretching. And then your individual periods, your 7-on-7, your teams, your one-on-one run blocking, your pass pro, defense fitting on trash cans type of things. And then they went to a team period, special teams mixed in. And then the American team seemed a lot more relaxed. Now, I don't know if that was just a Thursday getting ready for the game deal, but, a lot of their stuff was, hey, we're going to do one-on-one midfield. Everybody else is just standing there watching. And I don't know if they did that at every practice, but.
Which I kind of like that, because you still had your periods and different, individual, inside, pass scale, 7-on-7, all that stuff. But it was like almost in between when they were changing from one period to the next or one drill for the next. That's when they'd be like, all right, everybody come in here. Receiver and DB, you guys are going at it. Offensive lineman and defense lineman, you're going at it. Running back, linebacker, you're going at it. And then they go away, and then they come back. I think it made it fun for the guys, and it was a unique way to kind of shake up the monotony of practice.
Yeah, and you got to think too, if you're one of the guys that they call out in the middle of the field, whether you're the offensive guy or the defensive guy, that's got to be a sense of pride knowing they want to see these NFL coaches are wanting to see this. So that's got to give you a little bit of confidence, like, okay, they like what they see, and they want to see me in front of everybody. Bright lights are on, ready to roll. So that was cool, but a little different style of practice. But boy, let me tell you, they were getting after it on Thursday.
They were, and especially the offense and defensive line. I mean, they were I mean, it was one-on-ones, especially where they kind of do the half line type of deal where the center snaps it, and then you got the tackle on an end or the guard on a defensive tackle, and I mean, it was full go. I mean, a couple of guys got flipped over upside down, and then I mean, one-on-ones too, man. They got physical down there, especially down near the red zone, the goal line, when they were throwing fades and slants and all your red zone routes. I mean, those DBs, they were not wanting to give anything up. Got a little handsy, but I tell you what, we saw a couple guys that really showed up and showed out that were group of 5 guys. Grant DeBose being one of them. I mean, he made a bunch of fantastic catches in one-on-ones and 7-on-7. Didn't get a lot of opportunity in the game itself, but in practice, he had to be a guy that really rose his stock, I would think.
Well, the thing about him, too, and we all said this, is we're watching them all come out of the tunnel. We're watching them all kind of do their own stretching before practice. And you kind of have this impression that all of those guys on their own roster are just a little bit bigger, a little bit, taller, a little faster, a little more physical. And then when you're thinking the guys that are out there, well, they're all going to be like that. Well, Grant DeBose was the receiver of the bunch at the Senior Bowl that just looked it. He's a little taller than everybody else. He's thick. They're doing the one-on-one fade routes. He's going up and getting it.
His wingspan was ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely looked the part. That's for damn sure. But, and then when you go to the O-line, I mean, everybody on that O-line looks like a freaking monster. O-line and D-line. It's funny, the D-line guys – the D-line guys, I don't know where these guys come from, but they'll be like 6'5", 315, 305, and they're just like ripped.
Yeah.
I mean, but the O-line guys are 6'5", 305, and they're fat. And so, where's the disconnect?
They drink their mother's breast milk till they're 5 or 6.
Yeah, that's what it is. The O-line guys are still drinking beer on the weekends.
Let me ask you this. I'm just curious. On that Thursday practice, were they in full pads or the shells?
It was basically full pads. They had
half.
They
don't wear knee pads anymore.
Yeah, that was anyways. But they had the thigh pads.
They just didn't have the pants on.
Yeah, the half pants.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah, and they're out there. I mean,
sorry, interrupt.
Go.
That's the second one. For the O line, I'm just curious. Knee braces.
Some
you
of
see
them.
a bunch of knee braces out there, or a lot of guys were some.
But I would say more not wearing knee braces than we're wearing them.
Crazy, man.
Uh-huh.
As much as I complain about them, I could not imagine being like at center, just my knees just out and about.
We
saw one offensive lineman get hurt in practice.
Yeah, Bama kid. Yeah. It looked like a knee, probably. Honestly, I don't remember if we saw what happened, but that's got to.
I think he just got rolled up.
Jesus.
Yeah, and the other thing for us too, as some of the guys that we talk about, there was a couple of players, group of 5 in particular, that didn't practice on Thursday or left before the game. So if we don't talk about them, we just didn't see them live. I mean, guys like Tank Dell supposedly had a monster week, but we just didn't see him.
We heard and saw for some people, like we were scrolling through Twitter, looking at Tank Dell stuff, and people that were watching him practice on Tuesday and Wednesday were saying he was the best wide receiver there in Mobile for the week. And so we're not entirely sure if he left or if he was hurt or we're not sure, but he wasn't at the Thursday practice and didn't play in the game.
I didn't know players did that. I had no idea they would show up and they would do. I mean, I get it, I guess. Like, hey, get your first few practices in there and don't risk getting hurt, And then you got guys like Stetson Bennett that just don't want to get hurt at all. So they just say they just don't show up.
He did decline. He declined.
He said he didn't want to go. That's neither here nor there. But I didn't know guys that went for a few days and left.
Yeah, and there was a ton of like sports agents there. I don't know how many of them represented those particular players, but I imagine that's what happened. The agent heard somebody say, "Yeah, we like him. He's done enough," and I don't know, man.
If I would have been there, I'd probably just gone with each player, cutting off every, freaking media person. I just want to know, what was your NIL deal this year? What was your NIL deal this year?
Yeah.
What was your NIL deal this year?
Did you make more in college than you're about to make?
Yeah, just curious.
Yeah.
Some of those guys were freaking loaded already.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there was some Like, a lot of SEC guys, a lot of Alabama guys, a couple Georgia guys, a couple A&M guys. Your big money schools. LSU had some guys there. Before we talk about just some individual players being, winners, or maybe some that, might have had a little bit of a disappointing week, give a couple shout outs. So shout out to, I think their Instagram and Twitter handle is Next Move ATL. But we met Jason and Sandy down there at the game. So if you're looking to move, you're looking for a real estate person, give them a shout. We talked to them for a little bit. Seemed like really good people. So give them a shout. And then really excited later in the week, we should be getting Zebra Technologies on the podcast. So if you watch NFL games and you're seeing the AWS, whatever it is, sponsored by Amazon, Next Gen Stats. So it'll show you, when a player, especially on like a kick return, you're seeing top end speed of the players. You're seeing ball speed, ball rotation, velocity of a throw. Zebra Technologies is the company behind that technology. So we got a chance to talk to Adam and Christian with them, and we're trying to get Adam on the podcast. That guy's way smarter than any of us could ever think about being, but it's a really, really, really good listen to hear about the technology, how it works, and some of the applications they can have going forward. So give them a check too.
And what I thought was cool about it, Sprouse, too, is it directly applies to, group of five guys. I mean, you now have extra data that you can look at, and we've always wondered, like, how do these guys match up against, the Power Five, players? And, well, now you got incredible data that shows you their speed, their velocity, everything you could possibly want, this guy has. So I'm really, hopefully we can get him on. It'd be awesome to just explain how it works.
Yeah, and like if you're talking about a group of five receiver, and maybe like a Tank Dell's probably a perfect example, or Tyjae Spears is probably a great example. Like you're thinking, well, yeah, he's really fast, yeah, he's really shifty, but they're going to say, oh, but he's playing against maybe lesser competition. Well, with this data and this technology, you can see, well, no, he actually is moving quicker than the Power Five guys are. He is moving faster than that. So some cool stuff. So hopefully we get him on the podcast here in the next couple of weeks. I think you guys will really enjoy that. Let's talk about winners and maybe some disappointments. Start on offense. Of course, Jake Haener was the MVP of the game. I know Jeff's going to want to talk to him. We talked to him, or talk about him. We talked to him a little bit after the practice. But you got that clip from his post-game MVP interview.
Sure do.
Congratulations on an amazing game today, and on behalf of the Reese's brand, we would love to present you, Jake, with this year's Reese's Senior Bowl MVP award.
Wow. Good, sweet. Congratulations.
Jake, I bumped into you and your parents at dinner last night. When you envisioned what today was going to go like, how close was it to this?
Man, I just want to come out here and get a win with the guys and cap off a really good week, man. And there you go, baby. Yeah. Spread those out. Just have a really good week, man, and just get the win. And we found a way to win, and it was fun.
You've spent your entire career with people telling you you're not quite tall enough, you're not quite good enough. How good is this to start off your pre-draft process this way?
You know what, man? I'm just going to continue to do it. Everything at a high level and continue to prove those doubters wrong, man. And it just feels good to get it done with the team, but at the same time, man, I love proving doubters wrong. I love the motivation. I love the passion that it brings me. Let's go. Keep coming with it, man. It's fun.
So what's next for you in terms of your pre-draft preparation?
Just continuing to be the best player I can. I think there's obviously some things playing at a higher level with these guys, with great athletes around me, knowing I got to work on some things, and I'll continue to fine-tune it when I get back to Huntington Beach.
What are you going to do with all the Reese's?
These are for the guys, man. These ain't for me. Maybe I'll give one to Jim on the way out, too.
Congrats, Jake. Thanks.
Thank you.
Top notch.
Trophy full of Reese's, huh?
Yep, that's what it was for the ones just listening on the audio podcast. But, he was by far the most polished quarterback, in my opinion, that was there. Besides, Duggan was good. He was really good from what, the couple days we saw. But, he balled out. He did exactly what he did all year at Fresno State, and he was in sync with his throws. He could make every single throw, even the deep balls. His anticipation was fantastic, and we got a couple videos of it that we'll post to the socials once I get everything edited up. But, shout out to Jake Haener, man. We got a chance to say what's up to him and met him, and stand-up guy, awesome guy, and knew who the group of five guys were, so it's It's pretty awesome.
Did. Yeah, he from the untrained eye, he throws the best ball. I mean, we there's some other guys, some of the bigger names out there throwing, and I mean, just even throwing in warm-ups or throwing, short routes. I mean, his balls. I mean, I don't think he threw anything but a perfect spiral the whole weekend.
And he was the most consistent throughout the whole week too.
Yeah.
All through week of practice and leading up, and continued that into the game. He was the most consistent, and he was just that same way through his entire college career. When he was on the field, he was consistent week in, week out.
When he got the start for that team, so I don't know what the process was, for who got the start, but he got the start and got the most reps at quarterback for that team. So seems like the NFL coaches like what they were seeing, liked him out there in the huddle. So shout out to Jake Haener. We talked about Grant DuBose already. It seemed like a lot of the so-called experts were all over Rashee Rice at SMU. I mean, we saw him a little bit. One thing that I noticed with him was he would make some catches in traffic. Like when they were doing one-on-ones, he maybe wasn't getting open like as easy as some of the other guys, but he caught everything that came his way.
Yeah, big target, great hands, can go up and get it. But yeah, kind of the same way. It's such a small sample size especially we were there on the last day. We didn't get to see him the first two, but not a ton of separation, from guys. And I would say that's how he was this past year. He wasn't going to necessarily run by anybody, but you threw that ball anywhere within the radius, he's catching it and he's coming down with it. And he can out physical smaller guys as well.
Yeah. I want to talk O-line a little bit. So again, I listened to Jim Nagy talk about ODU's Nick Saldiveri, who played tackle at ODU. Jim thinks Nick is going to be a long-time starter at center in the NFL. And, again, we only saw one practice. We only saw the game. He looks good. He didn't, stand out to me, where I think, Jake Andrews, the reps I was watching with him at center. Dude, I told Jesse this on the phone earlier today, they were doing one-on-ones, and, it was so physical. I was just thinking that. I don't want any part of anything like that. Maybe it's because I'm 32 years old at this point, but I'm thinking back, if I had to go against them dudes in college, because he went against Coastal's D-tackle Clark was by
Jared
far
Clark.
the biggest D-tackle out there. And, there's a couple reps where Jake moved him out of the way pretty quick. So I thought he had they had him playing guard and center. So he's a little short and not super long arms. So I'm sure center is where they think he's going to fit in the most.
Yeah, and especially with those one-on-ones, you guys know with this in practice, those guys are just pinning their ears back and coming because they have nothing else to worry about. There's no, they don't have to worry about screens. All they're doing is trying to get to the coach who's pretending to be the quarterback. And I thought, like you said, Jake held his own, man, and he actually did more than that. He rose his draft stock, in my opinion, and he's just an anchor, man. He's just solid. When he feels himself starting to get pushed, he just anchors down, and then all of a sudden, just the movement just stops. And then we saw in the game, they were running inside zone, and they were multiple great combo blocks where he's coming off and climbing up to the linebacker. Yeah. I don't know how you watch the practices, analyze that, and watch the game film and think this guy's not higher draft stock than before the Senior Bowl.
Yeah, and and that's that's what he said, and I know we've got that clip of me talking to him after the practice, but he said the Sun Belt guy, you get big, strong defensive tackles in the Sun Belt. He said one of the things that was a little different about being out there was the inside guys had pass rush moves.
Yeah,
that they don't necessarily have, but that's where Jeff, what you're talking about, of course they do when they don't have to worry about anything else. But yeah, you're right, dude. If somebody tried to bull rush him, I always think about. I hate to bring this up, but I remember when Jesse got hurt. Isn't that what happened? You tried to anchor and your knee gave out on you. His knee wasn't giving out. I was he definitely had a good week. They were the only two Group of 5 O linemen. Problem for him is he's an interior guy, and usually tackles get drafted first. And then I'll say this: the kid from Michigan, he had a damn good week too. Michigan center was good. Yeah. So there's a couple interior guys that don't normally get drafted. But Jeff, if you got that clip from talking to Jake, we can play it for the listeners.
Matt Sprouse here, group of 5 guys, here with Jake Andrews. Had a hell of a day. Had a helmet change. What happened?
Yeah, so this little bracket right here that holds the face mask on actually popped off when I went against dude from Washington State. He gave me a good little pop and it snapped off. I think it was cracked before, but either way, good blow.
I was watching all the O-line, D-line stuff. It's physical, dude.
It is.
What? I mean, I know you got a lot of reps against the kid from Coastal.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between being out here and Sunbelt?
Yeah, it's just the inside guys can rush the passer, man, and they're so much quicker, so much twitchier. Strength's kind of the same. You get a bunch of strong guys in the Sun Belt, but just like I said, a lot of them can rush the passer. And they
have a minute and a half remaining. Again, you have a minute.
They have a really good rush plan from the very beginning. So you know, they're just a lot better, well-rounded. So
that's what's up. So you're going to the combine. You've had a hell of a week so far. You got one more day. Got the game. What are you hearing, draft-wise?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard, like I just told the other dude, I've heard from top to bottom. I've heard early second round and as late as like 6th and 7th. Just, you know, if I fall there, I fall there. To teams that don't really need a center, but I've also heard good stuff from teams that do. And so we got a bunch of interviews tonight with the other 16 teams. So we'll see kind of what else is being said. So.
Hell yeah, man. Big fans of Troy. Big fans of Coach Summerall. Big fans of you.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Hell of a job, man. Good luck. Stay healthy.
Yeah.
Let's go over to defense. I know, none of us were defensive guys necessarily, and we talked about it during the game. There wasn't a lot of offense during the game, but we talked about, are the defensive guys doing anything special, or is it just kind of sloppy offense, or what? I mean, Carl Brooks had a sack. He had a big week. He's a big dude too, out of Bowling Green. Anybody else that y'all, off the top of your head?
Thomas Nkoum from Central Michigan. He also had a sack in the second half, and he impressed us when we were watching practice on Thursday. So I think that's someone that their draft stock has risen as well.
Yeah, you mentioned him briefly, but Jared Clark, that guy's just an anchor. When you're talking about a nose guard that can just clog up the middle, you got to put 2 bodies on him. He's it. So I think he's incredible. He could be a great run stopper, run fitter, and if he can figure out a few little pass moves here and there, he's going to be a problem at the next level.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jess.
I just have a couple questions as a guy that wasn't there for the practices, kind of get a sense if y'all, if he stood out or not. Probably didn't stood out because probably the smallest one there. But Carlton Marshall, did y'all see him doing anything special, or did he kind of go under the radar, just realistically?
So it was probably the biggest disappointment of the week. We got there Thursday, and he was in shorts and a T-shirt. He had some type of hip or low back injury.
Mm-hmm. It happened during the week?
Yeah, he practiced on Tuesday and Wednesday, I think, or at least Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
And then that's exactly what we were saying. We were where's he at? Where's he at? And then he came out there in shorts, and we were like,
And let me swing back over on offense then. Curious to know how the Cam Peoples did. Did y'all see him at practice? Did he stand out at all, or was he kind of? Did we see the Cam Peoples against Georgia State, or did we see the Cam Peoples against Georgia Southern?
If I may, so I'll say this. So we always talk about looking the part of the running back group. He looked it. Yeah. He's big. He's bigger than all the other guys. He had a really unfortunate sequence in the game where he dropped 2 screens in a row, and both of them probably would have been 6 also. Mm. So he would have had, if he catches one of them, he's got a huge screen. And with his breakaway speed, he's probably housing them.
Yeah.
But he dropped them both, so we felt bad for him, and they took him out.
About that though, Sprouse. About that. So in the second half, he caught his next 2 passes, and one of them was he was running a little out route to the sideline and made a really, really nice catch, kind of arms outside of the body. And he had 1 carry for 15 yards, and on that 1 carry, I don't know if you all saw it or not, but he got the ball and ran. He just ran north and south and lowered his shoulders and he ran over the All-American Georgia cornerback Christopher Smith II and put him on his back. So that was
fine to see that.
I must have had my water cooler fans behind me talking my ear off. I must have missed.
I think that's when we had to take a break because our ears were getting ready to fall
I
off.
gotta go to the bathroom here.
That's good to hear. Then Peoples will get
yeah.
a shot. He'll probably be a 1-2 punch with Derrick Henry. Tennessee Titans pick him up.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely looks it. I mean, of all the guys, I mean, McIntosh from Georgia was out there. He looked like a little guy. But Cam Peoples he's a big dude. I mean,
Cam did a great job on Thursday with the pass protection blocking when they did that drill when the linebackers and edge rushers were coming off, and they had a majority of the running backs. I mean, it's a tough drill for a running back because
getting teed off on.
But he's a freaking DN, so he should.
Cam Peoples did
have
really
advantage
well.
in the other running backs in that category. Good point.
Yeah, he definitely did. I'll tell you, also at App State, Nick Hampton, kind of the DN type. He's a little smaller, but I listened to a bunch of interviews with some scouts and Jim Nagy talk about him, and then just watching him. He's all over the place, and he can rush the passer.
Yeah.
So he's almost like I would hate to give anybody like the Dwight Freeney card, but just like an undersized pass rusher that can do it. And then also I know we kind of went away from the Cincinnati guys, but Ivan Pace he's all over the field.
He was all over the field.
He's going to be a really good player. He was just everywhere. And then one more guy on defense is JL Skinner, the corner out of Boise. So he didn't play in the game. I think he had a death in the family is what I saw on Twitter. But he is so tall and long that he's going to be a really good corner just because of his size.
Yeah, he's everything you want in a defensive back in the NFL. You know, a lot of people want these bigger, longer guys that can go up against the 6'4", 6'5" receivers now and the big tight ends if you move him inside in the slot corner position. And, yeah, he's rising on people's boards for sure. And, I mean, he was good at Boise all year long, so it's nothing new.
Yeah. All right, boys. What about Tyjae Spears?
The talk of the Senior Bowl, man. Oh, my gosh.
Stupid, man.
Yeah.
It really
just
was.
stupid. I mean, so what was it? One-on-ones, running backs on linebackers, pass play. Dude comes out, the Pitt linebacker attempts to tackle him. He knows he's going to get beat, so he just tries to wrap him up and call it a day. Dude, Tyjae Spears, ducks underneath him and spins. Pitt linebacker goes one way, Spears goes the other way, catches the pass. I mean, that guy is ridiculous, man. The last month or two, I guess, since the bowl game for them, I mean, he has got to be just skyrocketing on draft boards right now.
Absolutely. And it's one thing seeing him on TV. We didn't get a chance to go down there and watch him live. Seeing him live is a whole nother ball game. I mean, talk about twitchy guys. He's about as twitchy as it gets. And I know he's smaller. Their big concerns is, can he pass protect in the NFL? Can he take the beating that, these running backs take in the NFL? I don't know. I don't know too many guys that are getting hands on Tyjae Spears.
Yeah.
How tall is he?
I think he's
5'7", right?
Yeah, he's short.
He's little. He's a little.
Is he the
fella.
shortest one out there?
He's listed at 5'8" or 5'9".
No, I think the Cincinnati receiver was like 5'6".
Oh yeah, he's a little guy too.
Yeah,
he had a good week too.
He did.
He seemed like he's going to be a good special teams guy, kick return guy. But yeah, I mean, you know what was interesting about Spears is for spending just a week with your new teammates. Every time he got the ball or was on a route, you could just tell that he had the eyes of the whole sideline. Just like he's got what's he about to do? He's got it. So they saw it all week long. So I can't wait to see what happens with him. I think he's gonna be a problem in the league. I may draft him in fantasy, boys.
Yeah, and Sprouse, another guy we didn't mention. I know we talked about Jake Hayner, but I thought Clayton Tune looked really good. I thought he throws a really, really nice ball. His arm's a whole lot stronger than what I thought it was, and just being a bigger guy than Hayner is, I think he'll get a shot somewhere late rounds and back up for a couple years. He's a good player now. He was putting that ball out there, putting in spots where his receivers were the only guys that could catch it, and he was getting out there on bootlegs, running around, throwing on the run. I think the group of 5 quarterbacks had a great week at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah, and we talked about, not to knock anybody, but we talked about some of the Power 5 guys not really looking that good. I mean, Cunningham out of Louisville looked pretty rough in practice. Now, when the game started and he started running around a little bit, he came into his own, but I think he threw a pick 6, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
But That's the thing, and that's what the NFL scouts and coaches are going to have to judge. Is this guy a practice guy? Is he just a gamer? Or did he just have a bad game? So that's what they've got to look at, and that's part of where that. Yes, sir. Tip, what you got?
I was just going to ask, did we talk about Jalen Wayne?
No, but he had the best day on the game. Out of receivers.
8 catches for 50 yards.
Yeah, South Alabama guy.
Yeah, South Alabama guys hit. I mean, from watching, he was. I mean, running great routes. He was getting open, strong hands, was catching the ball. I mean, yeah, the American team was down most of the game, but I mean, you could tell that was Clayton Tune and Duggan, and were those the only 2 quarterbacks that played for the American team? But you could tell the American quarterbacks they were eyeing Jalen Wayne whenever he was out there on the field.
I think they had was the Division II kid on that.
Oh, right,
on that team.
He was, yeah.
And I think, Tip, we found this out. He is kin to Reggie Wayne.
Cousin.
I said kin.
Nephew.
I couldn't remember which one it was, but it's good. That's good.
Bloodlines, as they say. Yeah, Reggie Wayne, good player. Probably gonna be in the Hall of Fame.
We'll talk about one more guy on defense, and this school isn't a group of 5 school, but they could possibly be in the future. Florida A&M defensive lineman or defensive end Isaiah Land from FAMU. He made several tackles in the game. He looked good in practice too, but during the game he made several tackles, and I think he had a sack. It was either a sack or a tackle for loss, but he was kind of similar to Ivan Pace Jr. Isaiah Land was everywhere. He was all over the field.
Yeah, we saw we saw Willie Simmons down there and old T-Roy.
Yep.
Midget.
Down there, yep. Also, Tip, the other HBCU guy, the backer from Jackson State, had a good week too. So just maybe with conference realignment in the future, those guys might be in the group of 5. But anything else you guys got on the Senior Bowl, or do we want to move on to our South Alabama facilities tour? Before we go there, I want to talk about our boy Austin Birch and Birch Tax Services. Tax season is right around the corner. If you are, or it's here, we're in it. If you are in the Middle Tennessee area, hit up Austin Birch. He does, Jeff and Tip up there in that area, and then he helps us out with Group of 5 guys as well for any tax or just financial information we need. As you know, in our booming economy, you might get a refund. You might owe. We don't know. But Birch will tell you. So holler at him. Austin Birch, Birch Tax Services, right there in Murfreesboro. University of South Alabama, USA. South. Just an FYI for everybody out there, they do not appreciate being called South Al. So just an FYI, they like if you're watching, I got the hoodie on. They like the South script there. They like USA. They like South Alabama. But so shout out to Mark, football ops, and double down as the equipment manager down there in Mobile. Great tour. Thanks for hooking it up. Thanks for meeting with us. Those guys, shout out to all the South Alabama staff, because their training staff and equipment staff had to basically deal with the Senior Bowl also, and deal with some winter workouts for South Alabama. So a ton of laundry, ton of equipment moving around. First things first, guys, stadiums, in my opinion, it's the perfect Group of 5 football stadium. It's not too big. It's nice. There's not a bad seat in the house. Obviously it's new, but seems to flow pretty well. Concessions, bathrooms everywhere, parking all over the place. I know, Tip, you're all about the sound. Honest to God, best sound system of any Group of 5 stadium we've seen so far.
100%.
It's one of those where they didn't have it too loud, where you couldn't. We talked about it like 3 or 4 times. So we could have a regular conversation and just a regular speaking voice, but it was loud enough to where you could hear it from the parking lot, and the bass was just so clear and crisp. Yeah, it just, really good, and had a pretty damn good playlist too. They had it going on all week, so. That was
you could tell they were adjusting the sound, like when you're in part of a game, like a third down, or a big time play, you could hear him just kind of turn it up a little bit, and that bass kicks in, and you can like feel it. But yeah, it's so crystal clear, and it gets the whole crowd and everybody in the stands excited and loud, and it like you mentioned, Sprouse, 100% without question the best sound quality that we've heard in any stadium that we've been at.
Yeah, and I don't know what that stadium holds as far as occupancy, but I mean, there's not a bad seat in the place. Both sidelines from, I think it's like the 20-yard line maybe to the other 20, or maybe it's 30 to 30, but they have like that long table, that long bar where they have chairs, just regular chairs. You can eat, drink, and you can see the entire field. There's not like any dead spots. Even in the top bleachers, I mean, they have those nice chair backs that up there. You don't see a lot of those at stadiums anymore, and multiple exits, multiple concession stands. No concession stand we went to like you were waiting forever. There's no huge lines to get in because I got plenty of entrances and exits. So I don't know who designed it, who had a hand in it, but I agree with you, Sprouse. It might be one of top favorite Group of 5 stadium.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's a really nice stadium, and yeah, I think there was probably, what would you say, 18 to 20,000 at the game, and surprisingly, pretty good turnout.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't
shocked.
expecting much, to be honest with you, but it looked. I mean, it was good. It looked like if they get that on Saturdays for home games, stadium's pretty full. I think people could make some noise in there. But definitely a nice stadium. As far as the rest of the facilities go, so we won't be able to post any pictures of the weight room. I think it was softball was in there as we toured, so we weren't really trying to get a ton of pictures at that point. Decent weight room. So they just upgraded the stadium. They just put an indoor, so the rest of it's coming. And you can tell where they need some upgrades. I mean, weight room's a little older. They're sharing it with other sports. It's kind of right in the middle of like the football building. So like softball's in there working out with 50 Cent cranked all the way up, and coach is sitting in the office right next door. So that's a little something they could use. Locker rooms. So we didn't get to see the locker rooms in the stadium. But the locker room, they got 2 locker rooms. So the one we did see was pretty cool. I mean, they've got what do you say? They've got a woodworking shop on campus that custom built the lockers.
Yeah.
So that's
anytime
pretty
they
cool.
need repairs, they just send it down there.
I mean, what a way to budget, Just you got a shop that could do this. I feel like schools should use the resources that they have on campus before they start outsourcing everything. But indoor is big time. I mean, it's one of the pavilions or whatever you want to call it, like a UAB, like they're building at Georgia Southern. But it's nice. I mean, it's full 100 yards plus. What do you say? Another 20 yards at the end of it for the O linemen.
Yep.
For their individual period. It's all pretty much connected. Via a small walk down a sidewalk to get stadium, indoor, locker room.
And in the main building too, they had 2 nutrition centers. So they got one right next to the weight room. So if you need a shake or whatever, banana, whatever you need, protein bar, they got it in there. And then also in the locker room as well, they got same thing, huge kitchen area, Gatorades, protein, whatever you need, which is a huge, it's a huge draw nowadays for recruits. Like, you got to keep your body, your body's your moneymaker. You got to keep it at top-notch level, and just having all those little amenities goes a long way, I feel like, in the growth of a program.
Yeah, no question. And I mean, the fact that they had the Senior Bowl there, you have 2 separate rosters, plus you got your own team that's probably going through winter workouts, and they're all functioning without getting in each other's way at all. I mean, that kind of shows you at least what kind of operation they're running down there in Mobile. But I'm trying to think if we're missing anything else on the facilities. Practice fields are pretty standard. A couple grass fields and a turf field outside. But most teams that have one of those indoors now, they're pretty much just going to be in the indoor most of the time anyway. But I'm trying to, campus, by the way, big campus, nice campus. A really nice campus.
I'd love to see.
You couldn't really walk it.
No, you couldn't, and that's probably why they got those bird scooters everywhere. But
that's why I thought we had a great. I thought, what a great hotel I booked right across the street from campus. 20 minutes from the stadium.
No, but I would love to see it on game day. I'd love to see the tailgating atmosphere, just because they do have all that space all around the stadium. We gotta get back down to Mobile and just check out a game. Maybe this next year. I mean, it really wasn't that bad of a trip down there. I thought it was a lot further.
No, it wasn't too bad of a haul. Just real quick, City of Mobile, not bad. I mean, plenty of stuff going on. Got to give a shout out, Briquette's Steakhouse.
Big time.
Really good. Came highly recommended by several different people.
Martha Metz being
feeling
one
like
of
we
them.
wanted Martha Metz. But yeah, it came highly recommended. We were all three thinking like we want a nice piece of red meat right now, some raw liver, and but no, I mean, sat at the bar, great service.
Yeah,
honestly, a little bit of a thinner cut of meat, but a good ribeye, cooked pretty good. Lot of flavor.
Crab cakes. Oh man, the crab cakes were phenomenal. Oh no, fried green tomatoes, not crab cakes.
We had crab cakes. Jeff had already been in a bit of a brawl with a bottle of tequila that night, so
he
might not remember. But and then we went from there. We went downtown Mobile. They were getting ready for Mobile's Mardi Gras, so we weren't like in the thick of it, but it was getting ready to start. But I mean, we went out on Thursday night. There was a good amount of people out. Bars were open super late.
Saw Warren Zeters.
Well, yeah. Listen. Can I make a statement?
Please.
Jesse, it was like 11 o'clock, okay? We walked by this bar, and me, Matt Sprouse, I'm like, that place looks like a good time. We should check it out. Tipton over here, he's got his tractor beam set on going to see some hole-in-the-wall band at this Irish pub. We go in there, this guy's playing the same chords on the bass guitar for 2.5 hours. And I'm wondering why we're not. So then we're like, okay, let's go. For the love of God, can we leave and go home? We leave there. We walk a block down past the bar that I originally said 2 hours ago looked cool. And these guys are like, we should check that place out. We go in there. Some famous country star singing in front of 2,000 people. And I'm like, well, isn't that interesting? And then we get bamboozled into paying for tickets to walk into this place. The guy plays 2 songs, and they turn the lights on, and we got to leave. And we go back to Tipton's jam band in the Irish pub.
That was cranked up.
How did y'all get home?
It was a late night.
Oh,
I got in.
In my defense,
I got in a little.
Yeah, see, we were walking, looking for we were
it was
looking
misting,
for live music.
Rain. It was
bad. It was
raining,
cold.
Yeah. We were looking for live music. We passed that place that Sprouse said looked cool, which it did look cool, but I didn't hear any live music. I said, nope, next place. Yeah. Then we heard jam band playing.
Any artist worth their salt is not on the stage before 9 p.m. Well, but I will say we ran the pool table for a couple hours down there at the bar. I got into the hotel nice and early, got an extra hour. We got up.
Wasn't that early.
We got up and got after it the next morning.
Did.
We sure did. We got a little workout, hit the sauna. We did absolutely nothing on Friday. We tried like 3 or 4 separate times. Also, shout out to Heroes Bar and Grill, little sports bar local. A lot of South Alabama merch in the restaurant there. Seems like a good spot. Pre-game, grab a beer, grab a burger.
Good burgers. Yes.
And then we played a little golf Saturday morning before the game, and we caught the game and we went on back home. What's the name of that Mexican restaurant we hit on the way home? It's kind of outside of Mobile. Aztecas. That place is bomb.
Yeah, it was
phenomenal. Might have been the best food we had all weekend. But
it was good food and good atmosphere. Great inside area.
A little patio really place to probably watch the fireplace.
Yeah, no question about it. But yeah, man. Overall recommendations, I would say go for the whole week, or at least go to the early part of the week if you're a podcast, if you're a media person, even if you're a fan. I've always been the type that I like watching the practices and stuff more so than I like the game necessarily. And then Briquette's Big Time Steakhouse, a couple good bars downtown. It's a good spot, man. Mobile's a good spot if you're a recruit or somebody looking to transfer. South Alabama, man, It's not a bad place to be. You're what, 20 minutes from downtown Mobile. You got a couple things going on right around campus, but it's a good spot. Well, if you guys enjoyed the show, you guys make sure you give us a 5-star review, hit like and subscribe, hit share. Pass our message along to all your friends and family. All the socials at Group of Five Guys. We're on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Go to groupoffiveguys.com. Get some swag. Hopefully later this week we'll have Adam from Zebra Technologies on the podcast for a real intelligent, highly intelligent interview. That's all we got for you guys. We'll catch you interview next week, podcast the following week. Group of Five Guys. Thank you for listening. We're out.